As the year comes to an end, there is no end in sight to the turmoil and violence in Gaza. That has the daily attention of Tim Wilson, who 30 years ago helped start the Seeds of Peace camp in Maine as a way to bring together young Israelis and Arabs.
207's Don Kerrigan talked with Tim Wilson a year ago about prospects for ending the war in Gaza, and his thoughts and worries, he says, still hold true.
For a man who has devoted much of his past 30 years to bringing peace in the Middle East, the war in Gaza is immensely sad.
So when things blew up on October 7th,
yeah,
were you surprised? I'm sure you were horrified.
Horrified is a better way of putting it. Surprised, not necessarily, because it's like anything else. You can smell it. Something's happening. People were getting upset. I mean, they really were.
Tim Wilson helped create and run the Seeds of Peace camp in Maine, a place where for years Israeli and Palestinian children and teenagers came together to literally plant the seeds of friendship. Those years brought hope that new generations could learn to live in harmony. But once again, war has shattered that dream.
You have former campers,
Yeah,
now adults, on both sides of this conflict.
that's right.
Wilson says he is in touch with many of his former campers and worries about them.
They're angry, and they're some of them are trying to do what they learned to do at camp, and that is listen, empathy, but not blame. Everybody's going to show how much they suffer on both sides. That's always what happens in this situation. I suffered more than you suffered. That's always the way it's been. It's getting people to sit down and look at each other and say, well, it wasn't you, and it wasn't you. We got to work on this to figure out how we can actually live together or do whatever.
That's been the hope for 3 decades. Wilson and his wife even lived in the Middle East for several years to work more closely with campers and better understand the old anger and hatreds that continue to consume the region.
Because the Hamas, they're the ones who've said forever, they don't, the Israelis, kill them, get rid of them. But that's known to people who understand. The general population, the educators who've been educated in this country from Palestine, their deal was, we just want a country and we want the same things that the Israelis have as a country.
And would you say, is it the majority of the population of Palestine would agree with that?
I would have before October 7th. I wouldn't say that now.
Wilson has been critical of U.S. policy for so strongly backing Israel in the war, but he says finding solutions requires a broader view.
I mean, I have people get upset when I say things like that I've known for years that are Jewish, because they say you're pro-Palestine. I didn't pro anybody. I'm pro-kid. What I'm saying to you is you're going to have kids that are going to come out of this when they're 20 or 30, and they're going to be just like the people you just killed off. Because you killed their brothers on both sides. The hatred is going to be there. The only way you can soften it up is figuring out how to sit people down and let them spew but not shoot at each other, and then work from there.
And despite all the killing and anger, Tim Wilson says there is still a dream for peace.
Enough of the population of the people of those countries on both sides that want peace and normal lives for everyone.
Because of their children. See, what we forget sometimes, these people have children. They want their kids to have education. They want their kids to live a normal life. I don't care if you're Israeli or Palestinian or Druze or, because you got, Ethiopian Jew, you got all kinds of things out there. The average person on the street, they just want to, just like anybody else. I want to eat my food, and pay my rent, and do whatever. But you got the people at the top. It's all about power. It's all about control. It ain't about the people down here. We have the same problem.
Is the dream of Seeds of Peace, is it too late to rekindle it?
I don't think you use the word rekindle. I think what you learn is learning from your mistakes and moving on. It may be a little different, a lot different than it was in 1993. It has to be. This is 2023.
Seeds of peace, he says, may be needed now more than ever.
Despite all the struggles in the Middle East, the work went on this past summer for Seeds of Peace, and this coming summer, it expects more than 80 kids from a number of countries at its camp in Maine.